Hypixel is the largest and most influential Minecraft server of all time. From iconic minigames like Bed Wars, Sky Wars, and to the massive success of Hypixel Skyblock, it's more than just a server. With over 18 million unique players and even their own standalone game, Hytale, in development. Which is not in development anymore, sorry about that. Hypixel has completely reshaped what Minecraft multiplayer can be. But for all its fame and history, there's one part of Hypixel's story that almost no one talks about. A project that launched quietly, showed incredible promise, and then vanished without a trace. So what was it? Well, to understand that, we need to go back to a very different version of Minecraft Pocket Edition. You see, in the early days of Minecraft Pocket Edition, things were pretty simple. You could only play on a phone or tablet. The worlds were tiny, there was no hunger system, and the controls were basic. But still, that didn't stop the multiplayer from blowing up. There were two servers that completely took over the scene. One was called Lifeboat Survival Games, also known as LBSG, and another server called InPvP. If you played Minecraft on mobile back then, chances are you spent hours on one of them. Back then, LBSG and InPvP were everywhere. Keep in mind, this was around June 2015. Most Pocket Edition servers were small, empty, or completely broken. But these two stood out, as these two were both minigame servers. If you wanted to play survival games, play on LBSG. If you wanted to play TNT Run, play on InPvP. Now, these servers were somewhat laggy and had their own bugs, but compared to everything else, they felt polished. A big part of their popularity was thanks to the YouTubers that were playing on these servers at the time. Creators like Jack Frost Miner, Fusion Droid, and AA12 regularly posted videos on these servers, which helped them grow fast and stay popular. If you played on your phone back then, LBSG and InPvP were the main servers everyone used. They weren't perfect, but honestly, they were the best you had. Nothing else really came close. But then came around September 2015. Minecraft finally updated the game to 0.12.0 and it was a pretty major update. It finally added a hunger system, which also meant that players could finally sprint. It sounded like a great change, but it ended up causing a lot of problems, especially on servers. The biggest issues was that you couldn't eat food properly on multiplayer. You tried to eat, but nothing really happened. Your hunger wouldn't go up and your health wouldn't regenerate. That made survival-based modes super frustrating, and even the biggest servers started to feel broken. These minigames became buggy, which meant that players were getting annoyed and a lot of the people started to stop playing. But still, LBSG and InPvP were still the biggest servers on mobile, but they weren't in a great spot. And thus a new server quietly joined the competition and it immediately stood out. It was a server called Bladestorm, and Bladestorm was a minigame server which had 5 minigames. 3 of the minigames were familiar. We got survival games, Sky Wars, and Build Battle. But Bladestorm also introduced 2 new modes that felt totally fresh for mobile Minecraft. One was Simon Says. It was essentially the one that you played in primary school. You have to essentially follow the instructions what Simon says, and the person that followed the most instructions won the game. And then the other mini game was Brawl. In this game, everyone had basic gear and fought it out in a small arena. It was a free-for-all type mini game, and the person that got the most kills won the game. Altogether, Bladestorm just felt different. The games actually worked, and even the hunger system wasn't broken. Instead of relying on a buggy hunger bar, eating food would instantly heal you. Kind of similar how Minecraft Alpha worked. It made the gameplay smoother and way less frustrating compared to other servers at the time. Because of how everything felt smooth, Bladestorm started to grow fast. Word spread quickly, and before long, thousands of players were joining. For a server that came out of nowhere, it was seriously impressive. But what helped it grow even more was when YouTubers who didn't usually play Pocket Edition started checking it out. Mostly creators known for console or PC Minecraft. I'm talking about Big B Stats, Echo Soldier, and even one of the biggest Minecraft YouTubers of all time, the guy with the diamond minecart, Dan TDM, started playing on the server. But this is the weird part. This was his first Minecraft Pocket Edition server that he played on his channel. He has never played LBSG nor in PvP, but started playing on this random server called Bladestorm. So why this server? It was kinda unexpected, and there must be something bigger behind Bladestorm. Now if you look a little closer at the Bladestorm logo, something feels off. There's a skunk on it. In software and game development, a skunk logo isn't random. It actually comes from the term skunkworks, which refers to a secret project being developed quietly behind the scenes. So now things start to feel a little different. What really was Bladestorm and who were behind on this project? Wait a second, in that Simon Says minigame, is that Hypixel skin? Wait. Now it makes sense. So yeah, Hypixel announced their own Minecraft Pocket Edition server, and it turns out the people behind Bladestorm were Hypixel all along. Bladestorm was never just some random server. It was actually Hypixel testing the waters in disguise. Before making any big announcements, they quietly launched the server under a different name to figure out the bugs, figure out what players liked, and see if their idea could actually work on mobile. And to be honest, it worked. Thousands of players were joining, and for many, this was their first real taste of what a high quality Pocket Edition server could feel like. People were loving it. Hypixel was going all in, so and so that they were even working on a mobile app that allowed players to buy ranks and cosmetics, which was pretty much a mobile version of their store to help support their server. Just like how they dominated the Java server scene, it looked like they were about to do the same for Pocket Edition. So what went wrong? Well, in March 2016, Hypixel announced they were shutting down the Pocket Edition alpha. The plan was to come back in 2017, but behind the scenes, there were a ton of problems. Most PE servers at the time used something called Pocket Mine to run their servers, but Hypixel took a different route. They built their own custom server software called Minet. It gave them way more control, but also meant they were basically building everything from scratch. And that would have been fine if the game itself wasn't changing constantly. And so that meant that Mojang was constantly updating the game all the time, which meant that Hypixel's team had to keep reworking their code just to keep the server running. And so this means that they couldn't really expand on their current game modes, as they were stuck patching compatibility issues every other week, and thus it really wasn't sustainable at the time. Another issue was player authentication. Pocket Edition didn't really have proper user accounts yet, and so this means that any Pocket Edition player can use any name and go to that server freely. Now, Pocket Edition servers counteracted this. Most servers use the /login feature, where if you want to join a server and play on it, you can just use /login and then your password. But a problem for this system for Hypixel's case is that it was hard to figure out what the players purchased and what their stats were. This meant that implementing a mobile app was going to be even more of a challenge, because at the time, Pocket Edition had limited player authentication. The final problem that Hypixel stated was their monetization system. Hypixel did not take any donations or payments for their Pocket Edition server, as they were still not committed long term if they should take user payments for the alpha build of their server. Since they were not taking any payments from the server, and the server's player count was averaging 20,000 players per day, that meant that their maintenance cost was also increasing. Now this was a problem, as the more players that were joining the server concurrently, the higher their cost would be without receiving revenue from the Pocket Edition server. This means that over time they were pretty much losing money rather than just gaining money and making a profit out of it, and therefore they could keep funding this project. But despite the monetization issues and the other issues that Hypixel stated, at the end of the forum they were still very optimistic about the project. Despite the alpha server shutting down in 2016, they even stated that the Pocket Edition server had huge potential to reach even higher amount of players than the Java server, and they ensured to the Pocket Edition community that it will return back in 2017 and make sure that all these problems that the server is dealing with is fixed when they return. And so naturally after hearing this, it looked like they were gonna deliver their promise. And so month after month go by, and it's now finally 2017. And pretty much in most of 2017, there was no updates about the server. No tweets, no forums, absolutely nothing. Until September 2017, Hypixel announced that the server is officially cancelled. When players heard about this, they were shocked. They thought that they could play on their favorite server again, only to find out that it was scrapped. So why was the server scrapped? Weren't the server in a good projection? Well, the reason why was because of the same problems. A year has passed and they were still building everything from scratch. Player authentication was still broken, and overall the server was just expensive to run. And so that meant that they had no plans of continue working on the Pocket Edition server, but actually put more effort on the Java server itself. And to be honest, looking back at it, the Java server's player count started to increase, even though at the time other Minecraft servers was going downhill. So it was a risk going all in on the Java server itself. But truthfully told, it was the right decision that Hypixel made, because Hypixel is the biggest Minecraft Java server of all time. They understand how the Java server's ecosystem works and how they can monopolize the opportunities that come out of it. But whereas with other projects, it feels like it's hard for them to master and perfect. And as a result, the Pocket Edition server still is closed to this day. Now when players heard about this change, they were disappointed and upset, mainly because these players thought that the server would come back in 2017. And even in their alpha post, they seemed very optimistic and determined to continue the Pocket Edition server. And so when players saw the new news, they almost felt betrayed and led onto. And I almost wish that Hypixel could have clarified this earlier in 2017. Even though Hypixel shut down their own Pocket Edition server, they were still an inspiration for other Java servers to create their own Pocket Edition servers. After Hypixel shut down their alpha server, Mineplex released their own Pocket Edition server with their own minigames, and Hive released their own Bedrock Edition server with their own minigames. And together both of these servers has surpassed their Java counterpart in terms of player count, proving what Hypixel stated earlier. And so now I guess the general question is, will Hypixel Pocket Edition come back? And honestly, my answer is yes. Minecraft Bedrock server optimization has definitely improved, including better player authentication using the Xbox gamertag system, better monetization methods using the marketplace, and other stuff as well. But at the same time, Mojang and Hypixel's relationship don't go eye to eye together, and there are many reasons behind this. But since this video is getting too long, I'm not going to go too deep on it. But with their disconnected relationship, it might be hard for Hypixel to get a featured server on Bedrock Edition. But if they did get a featured server on Bedrock Edition, I believe that Hypixel Pocket Edition would be the biggest Bedrock Edition server ever. And if you agree with me, please like and subscribe, as it's free to do so. Anyways, stay tuned for future content.